Hello. Welcome to my new YouTube channel. My name is Emma and I love Webkinz. This won't only be a Webkinz channel. I'm going to be talking about, hopefully if I choose to continue on with this, I'm going to be talking about lots and lots of fun, nostalgic, like cozy topics. But for this video, I wanted to start kind of with my main obsession because Webkinz it's been my main obsession probably since I was 9 or 10, and I made my account when I was like 6. But at the time I made my account, there was lots of virtual world options, which I'll definitely be getting to some of my favorites in other videos. But there was a lot kind of fighting for my attention, and Webkinz stood the test of time. It eventually became my primary virtual world, and along with that, my primary obsession. But today I'm not just talking about Webkinz, although I will show you some of my Webkinz before we begin. This is Sally, my velvety elephant. She's my absolute favorite Webkinz of all time, and funny enough, I got her when I was 10, which is I think when this really took off with me. Like, I always loved Webkinz. I'd play it with one of my childhood friends. Like I said, there came a time in my life where it became my thing, and it was probably the same year I got this Webkinz. This one's kind of a fun story because this one is my Webkinz hippo, and I, despite this being a very like classic like childhood Webkinz, I feel like I actually didn't get my hippo until a few months ago, and my dad found it at his job. My dad's a teacher, and one of the teachers had it in his classroom, and it still had a code, which was awesome. This is Becca. This is my newest Webkinz plush pet. This is Cookie, and she's a fancy flamingo. I have hundreds and hundreds of Webkinz, so I do want you guys to know that I am very qualified to talk about them. But in this video specifically, I want to do something a little bit different. I want to talk to you guys about Webkinz Jr. I started with a regular Webkinz account. I'm 22 years old, just for context. I started playing Webkinz when I was 6, so that's like 16 years ago, so like 2010. And Webkinz Jr. came out in 2009, so I didn't know that at the time. My story of getting into Webkinz is kind of funny too. I got into Webkinz because my speech therapist had a daughter who played, and she thought I was very quiet as a kid, and she thought this would be kind of a good way to like give me a community that I could open up to without actually having to like talk. So medically prescribed Webkinz. So I started with a regular Webkinz account. But luckily for me, I was so deep into the Webkinz phase, again, when I was like 10 years old, that I wandered onto Webkinz Jr.'s website one day and made a free trial and tried it out. And funny enough, I did this a couple times because even though the game was for younger kids, the aesthetic, the style of it was just so cute that it made me want more. So I made several different free trial accounts, and I want to tell you guys about what I remember about Webkinz Jr. So first, what exactly was Webkinz Jr.? Webkinz Jr. launched April 2009 and closed. Here's the thing. Nobody actually knows when Webkinz Jr. closed, and that is because there was no announcement for it. Hi guys, it's me from editing. Actually, I did find out when Webkinz Jr. closed. Webkinz Jr. closed the same day as Amazing World. Amazing World and Webkinz Jr. both closed January 31st, 2018. I find this kind of an odd choice, actually. One, you're just shutting down 2 games at once. That's kind of odd. And also, my point still stands that they didn't really announce Webkinz Jr.'s closure at all. I guess they just didn't expect really anyone to notice, because it wasn't as popular of a game. But I've seen multiple videos being like, Webkinz Jr. just kind of disappeared out of nowhere, which is true. So anyway, back to the original video. But let's get into our main central characters. Let's get into the Webkinz Jr. plushies. There were 3 sets of Webkinz Jr. plushies, the third of which were all like smaller releases, and all the names had the word small in front of them. And my theory is kind of that maybe those are supposed to be the Lilkins of Webkinz Jr. I'm not confident in that theory though, because aside from the white mouse, all the regular like Webkinz and like the birds and fish, like whatever, all the Lilkins for regular Webkinz are just smaller versions of already released pets. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. The first wave of Webkinz Jr. pets would bring us a brown dog, a pink dog, a blue dog, an orange kitty, a purple monkey, and a brown monkey. The second wave of Webkinz Jr. pets would bring us a tan bear, who is my personal favorite. This is Porridge. I got her off eBay a few years ago. She is so cute. A pink bunny, a gray elephant, a giraffe, a frog, and a blue bunny. Before I get into the third release of pets, I would just like to give a minute and like show you guys the dimensions of a Webkinz Jr. So I have Sally here for comparison. As you can see, the Webkinz Jr. is quite a bit bigger. It's so sweet and squishy. Let me show you guys the W. So you can see it has the logo, just like the iconic Webkinz that we all know and love. Oh my gosh, you guys, I love Webkinz Jr. plushies so much. I think they are so cute. I think that they were perfectly designed for the target audience and for those of us older than the target audience of Webkinz Jr. Their arms and legs are like super like floppy. Oh, it's just such a good plush. How sweet. The third and final wave of Webkinz Jr. pets would include a small bunny, a small mouse, a small giraffe, a small kitten, a small puppy, and a small elephant. So since I didn't get Porridge here until I was basically an adult, I didn't have any Webkinz Jr. plushies growing up. Since a lot of Webkinz players, including myself, started out with the regular, like classic original Webkinz, not a lot of people know about Webkinz Jr. I haven't seen very many videos on it. And most of the ones I have seen are just kind of like, what happened to you? Like, where'd you go? I looked up your website and you're gone. Since I had that little like unique free trial experience, and I actually got to experience, I'd say, most of the site after several free trials, I feel very qualified to tell you guys what I remember about Webkinz Jr. Okay, I'm gonna start with the registration process. Now this part's a little fuzzy, especially because I had free trials. Like, I don't know, I can't remember if this would have been different if you actually had the Webkinz Jr. plush. I can't remember if there was a button that prompted if you had one or not. So take all of this with a grain of salt. This was at least the registration process for free members. I will go ahead and mention right now something kind of interesting. The free trials lasted a week. It might have been 2 weeks, but I feel like it was a week. And I always thought that kind of sucked, like that you could only play for a week. I think it would have been better if Webkinz Jr. had implemented something more similar to Webkinz has now, where you can have your account and keep your pet, but you have very limited access. I think that would have done a lot better for Webkinz Jr. However, Webkinz Jr. did come out in 2009, and I have a slight hunch it was updated far less frequently. Webkinz itself didn't implement free members till much later, so it makes sense, I guess. What I remember is going to the Webkinz Jr. Adoption Center, which was like, you'd click a button that was like, sign up or whatever, and I remember being shocked to see it wasn't Mrs. Birdie registering me. It was this diva. This was Mrs. Biscuits. Interestingly enough, they would use that name again when Webkinz next came out. Interestingly also as like the adoption lady. Mrs. Biscuits guided, I guess, what would have been the parents into signing their child up for Webkinz Jr. Pretty basic. You'd make a username, you'd make a password, but wait, here was something very interesting. Webkinz Jr. free trials didn't let you choose a pet. You would be given a random Webkinz. You just click the arrow, and I really wish I could remember which one I got the first time. Information has since escaped my brain, but I do remember being very intrigued that like you couldn't pick a pet to play with for your free trial. But I guess it makes sense. You know what, they probably knew kids like me were making like free accounts with all the emails, and they were like, okay, well, you'll need a new pet every time, thinking that would prompt us to stop doing it. Nope, I lived out my week with my Webkinz Jr. free trial pets to the fullest. The other thing I remember about registering is that you would also create a parents account. Now you can make a parents account on Webkinz, even though I'm pretty sure most of us playing are adults now. Unless your kids are playing, in which case, respect, you know, start them young. But a Webkinz parent account is a lot more optional than the Webkinz Jr. one was. Because in Webkinz Jr., a parent's account would be used to set controls on like what levels your kid would play at, because Webkinz Jr. was very, very educationally based. Like it would teach math, it taught letters, you know, that kind of stuff. A parent's account also was the way for your child to have friends in Webkinz Jr. because friend requests in Webkinz Jr. went through parents' accounts. So like if you had a kid and you also had a friend with a kid and you wanted your kids to be friends on Webkinz Jr., you would be the one negotiating that through your Webkinz Jr. parent account. You could also change your child's pet's name and the parents' account in Webkinz Jr., which is kind of crazy to me because we can't do that in Webkinz. So maybe they're like, a lot of toddlers are going to be playing this game that will throw a fit if they can't change the name, so I guess we should pay attention to that for this game. It's just really interesting to me. Also, a section of the Webkinz Jr. parents' accounts that could send and receive letters, like from the parent to the child or from the child to the parent, which I think was really cute. After registration, you would be brought to your Webkinz house, much like in logging into regular Webkinz. I know so many people love to deck out their Webkinz house. It's a very nostalgic feature for a lot of people returning to the game. But the houses in Webkinz Jr., which were much more functional than anything else, I do believe you could decorate to some extent. But I think what this really more so narrowed down to was just like changing, like replacing stuff, like replacing the bathtub, maybe replacing the walls. So overall, it was a lot more like a regular house probably, but that's neither here nor there. There were 4 rooms inside the Webkinz Jr. house and a front yard and a backyard, so 2 outside rooms. The living room is the first room your pet would start out in. You would get a gift box, just like you do in regular Webkinz. It would include a pet-specific item and a pet-specific food, much like in Webkinz. I think there was a toy box. I actually don't know what you kept in there, to be honest. Like, probably just like little toys that would do things if you clicked them a few times. I'm thinking very similar to the My Little Pony Pinkie Pie's Party like presents feature. I also feel like you could maybe watch TV in Webkinz Jr. And my hypothesis is solidified by the fact that if you search Webkinz Jr. on YouTube, a lot of what comes up are like little music videos. The Webkinz Jr. kitchen was my personal room in the Webkinz Jr. house from memory, where you would feed your pet. And I remember to do this, you would click on the refrigerator on a table. Your Webkinz would sit at the table, looking all cute, and you'd click the food, and your pet would kind of eat it pixel by pixel. It reminds me of another game I know.
Please give me a whole tray of peas. Thank you.
But the funniest thing to me was that you could also click the sink to give your Webkinz a glass of water. And it would fill up a cup, and then put the cup on the table, and then your Webkinz would gobble up the water just like as if it were any other food. And the narrator, did I mention the narrator? I'll talk about her more in a second. But the Webkinz Jr. narrator, she'd be like, yum, water. It's very random, but very, very endearing, and I earnestly think very funny. Okay, let's talk about the narrator briefly. Webkinz Jr. was narrated, and I believe this was to help with young kids playing that wouldn't have learned to read yet. So there was very little reading on the website. In fact, I don't think there was any. I think the closest thing that comes to mind is like one that like the alphabet lettering on at the school. I know there was a newspaper feature, however, I can't remember if these had words or if they were just read to you. So yeah, there was like no reading on Webkinz Jr. If you want to know what the narrator sounds like, I will include a clip here because on the Webkinz Jr. site tour video I found, the lady like guiding you through that video is the same voice as the narrator.
Welcome. It's time to take you on your very first tour of Webkinz Jr. What is Webkinz Jr.? I'm so glad you asked.
Back to the house, we had a bathroom. The bathroom might have been the most parallel Webkinz Jr. came with regular Webkinz World. I remember there was a bathtub so you could give your Webkinz Jr. pet a bath, much like in Webkinz. There was a sink where you could brush their teeth and brush them just like Webkinz. Although I will say something kind of funny that I remember about the teeth brushing feature is I remember it being animated very oddly. It's like your pet would get a bubble beard and then like you kind of smile like a real creepy little smile while you brush their teeth. And there was the bedroom, which is where your Webkinz would sleep. Much like in Webkinz, Webkinz Jr. would get tired. They had like their own hungry, health, wellness, sleep meters. And also your Webkinz Jr. would look visibly tired when it was ready for bed. And something about like kids shows, kids games portraying going to sleep always just looks so cozy to me. It makes me want to get back on track with my sleeping schedule. I've never had a consistent sleeping schedule even as a kid, but it always just looks so cozy and sweet. There was also a backyard and front yard of your Webkinz Jr. house. Now, unfortunately, I can't remember anything about the backyard. I'm really trying. I see a fence in my brain. The front yard, however, was very fun. I think you could plant flowers. Originally, I thought that was a feature of the backyard, but in this Webkinz Jr. site tour, it looks like there are flower beds in the front yard. There's also the newspaper in the front yard and the mailbox, which is where your child, or you know, the Webkinz Jr. player, would get letters. Now let's talk about what there is to do in town. Let's start with this building right here. This was the Webkinz Jr. Care Center. The Webkinz Jr. Care Center, I think, was kind of Webkinz Jr. takes on like the Webkinz Care Foundation. I remember two things about this. I remember getting a cookie there, like for my Webkinz Jr. And I also remember that this is where, and I'm using heavy air quotes here, the Wheel of Wow was. I don't remember what this wheel was called. However, it was very much like the Webkinz Jr. equivalent of the Wheel of Wow. And I'm quite sure that it was the only wheel on the Webkinz Jr. website. These options are so freaking cute. Like, I love the singular Kinz coin. Yes, that's what they're called in this game. They're not Kinz Cash, they're all Kinz coins. And the lollipop, the butterfly. It's all just very, very pure. Now, I do want to preface, like, obviously I'm going off memory with a lot of these things. So when I say I remember getting a cookie for my Webkinz, this could have been a prize from the wheel. I remember it being two separate things, but obviously my mind could be perceiving me. And Webkinz Jr. is incredibly hard to research. But if you have any further information or memories, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to read it. Let's go next to the Webkinz Jr. post office. As previously established, the parent center would be where friendships and Webkinz Jr. could be facilitated. So kids could send letters to their Webkinz Jr. friends or their parents using this feature. And if they sent a letter to their parents, it would go into the parents' account, which I think is so, like, cool. Now, I was very lucky to have grown up with both parents in the house. I do know that's not the case for everybody, and I don't remember if Webkinz Jr. would have, like, accommodated for that. I do hope so, but I really can't remember for sure. But nonetheless, I think the idea of, like, getting to send a letter to your guardian, whoever that might be, was very sweet. Now, looking at the Webkinz Junior map, I noticed that I think a very important building is missing from it, and it could be that this was a feature that was added after this screenshot was taken, but I want to talk about the Webkinz Junior Bakery. Oh my gosh, you guys, this was so freaking fun, and I remember really wishing that Webkinz had its own equivalent of this. As most things on Webkinz Junior were, was like very educationally based. But I remember it being so cute, and I remember you could like count out ingredients and help this bear family make baked goods for their little business. Oh my gosh, you guys, it was so cute. Like, I earnestly loved this feature. Now on to the W shop. Webkinz Junior wasn't just about to hand these kids stuff for free. They have to work at it, just like big kids that played regular Webkinz. The W shop feature of Webkinz Junior was where kids could buy new food for their pets, along with new furniture. Like I was saying earlier, I think you could swap out furniture. Like you could get a different colored bathtub or whatever, and W shop was the place to do that. Now everything here was very relatively cheap. It'd have to be, because most of these games only gave you 1 or 2 Kinz coins. Now let's talk about the Webkinz Treehouse and the Webkinz Park. Now in regular Webkinz, these are very much social spaces. In Webkinz Junior, these are very much more or less where you get your mini games in. I mean, they were still very, very educationally based games. In the same way that the employment office on Webkinz is also just a bunch of mini games, was like doing a job, and like the school is also mini games, was like doing school, and then the arcade is where you get like your just random assortment. The treehouse was where you got your random assortment of Webkinz Junior games. I always thought that this lamb NPC that would like help you out in the treehouse was super cute. I don't remember there being very many games. I think there was maybe only a small handful, which makes sense because it is a kids game. I think what would happen is that they would like switch activities out, which is going to be very prevalent when I talk about the Webkinz Park. There was a moose in the Webkinz Junior Park named Ranger Kenny, and he had different daily activities that were all very like outside park based, and the only one I really remember is hide and seek. And unfortunately, I can't quite remember how the mechanics of this game worked, but I'm sure you can come to your own conclusions there. You know, it's hide and seek. I think you were maybe like just looking for your Webkinz Junior pet. They'd be like kind of hidden, you click on them, but that's my guess. If you remember more clearly, please let me know in a comment. But again, these games would be switched out every day. So like one day it'd be hide and seek, and then there'd be like other ones for different days. Like I said, I'm so sorry I can't remember more specifically what those would have been. That's a lot of how Webkinz Junior worked, was, from what I could tell, was that every day there'd be kind of different featured activities, kind of like a preschool, which makes sense because it was like a learning service. And speaking of learning, we are going to touch on the final location on our Webkinz Junior map, which was the Little Acorn Academy. The Little Acorn Academy was run by Miss Lily, who had an adorable like character design. It was basically Kinsville Academy for babies. And what I thought was really cool was it was very realistic to how preschools are. I think it was every week there'd be a new theme, and it could have been every day, but I feel like it was every week. I can't remember for sure. But there'd be different activities to do in the classroom. You can kind of see screenshots of some of them in this Webkinz Junior tour video. There was an art activity that was really fun. Maybe possibly a music one. I think the Little Acorn Academy was a very interesting addition. And I can tell in the Webkinz Junior side tour videos, they're really plugging it. I think it was set up very intentionally, the way there would be like a weekly theme, like in a real preschool. Even in this Webkinz Junior site tour, the lady who doubles as the narrator for Webkinz Junior admits that the school is like her favorite place.
And one of my very favorites, the school.
So I think they really were very excited about the school. Now I want to talk to you guys about something I never experienced on the site, but I feel like is very important to bring up. Deluxe membership. Yes, you could pay for deluxe membership to Webkinz Junior. And I never had that because, again, I literally didn't even have like a regular Webkinz Junior membership. And I unfortunately don't know all of the features that this brought about. Again, information on Webkinz Junior is incredibly scarce. It does bring me to one more thing I want to talk about Webkinz Junior. Kids at the time, besides me because I was just trying to consume anything Webkinz related, but some of the girlies did not like Webkinz Junior back in the day. I found a lot of videos of like kids being like, Webkinz Junior is for babies and it's boring. Like, okay. I think mainly this just comes down to, one, when you're little, you want your independence. You want to shed any idea of being perceived as a baby. It also probably comes down to maybe fans worrying that Webkinz would be working more on Webkinz Junior. I don't think it was quite that. I don't think it would have been quite that aware, but like maybe in the back of their head kind of thing. And that brings us to the end. Wow, I can't believe I just filmed my first YouTube video. Hello? Hopefully some of my videos in the future will be a little easier to research and therefore have more tangible information for you guys. This video was incredibly memory based, so again, if I got anything wrong, please let me know in a comment. I hope you guys liked it. I hope we were able to get a little comfy cozy together, and I hope you like me and like my content that I'm going to be putting out. Again, it's not all going to be Webkinz related, but I thought it would be a good place to start. I don't have anything to plug at the moment because I'm kind of off social media right now. But if you guys like the content, like please comment below and like comment if you'd like to see more of me and I can get on that. Until then, thank you guys so much for taking this journey and I will see you guys next time. Bye!